Hi, let me say first. Hi, good evening. This is September 11 Media Project. Where were you in September 11? This is gonna combine with our Going All Together Community Prevention for Dementia. I'm gonna translate in this portion in Chinese and English, and our guest speaker gonna speak in English. I'm gonna speak in Chinese. 9月11号媒体节目，9月11号你在哪里？让我们一起变老，社区预防失智症。Our guest speaker is Truhan, and a former Secret Service agent went through September 11. 我们的演讲嘉宾是格雷格特鲁汉，他曾经是特警局的特务，并且经历了9月11号的恐怖袭击。Hi, Gray. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So we're gonna have Gray to share about his bio. Go ahead, Gray.
Okay, so I worked 7 years as a police officer in Youngstown, Ohio, and 22 years as a special agent with the United States Secret Service. I was assigned to the Cleveland field office when the terrorist attacks occurred on September 11, 2001. And in less than a month, in October of 2001, I was assigned to the World Trade Center recovery operation, so working at Ground Zero in New York City. And as a result of that, later on, I was certified for treatment by the World Trade Center health program after my subsequent testicular cancer diagnosis was determined to be a proximate cause of exposure to toxins at the site, requiring the removal of my left testicle.
All right, I'm gonna translate into what his bio say. 格雷格在俄亥俄州杨斯敦担任了7年的警官，并且在美国特勤局 USSS 担任了20年的特务。2001年9月11号恐怖袭击发生的时候，他被分配到俄亥俄克州外部的办事处。2001年10月，格雷格被分配到世界贸易中心恢复中行动，在纽约市归零地工作。在他随后的睾丸癌晶圆细胞瘤诊断被确定后，因为该部的暴露于毒素的直接原因后，他后来获得了世界贸易中心健康计划的治疗认证，需要进行根治性的腹股沟睾丸切除术，切除左睾丸。Okay, we have a question I want to ask about Gray. When were you a police officer? How did you get the opportunity to join the U.S. Secret Service? I'm going to translate what that question is. 当你是一名警察的时候，你是如何获得加入美国特警局的机会？ Go ahead.
Well, I'll start out with I was in college. I earned my Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. And that's when I began working full-time as a police officer in Youngstown. So about a year later, I decided that I wanted to pursue a Master of Science degree in criminal justice while I was still working full-time as a police officer. It was during that time I became interested in pursuing a federal law enforcement position, which I viewed as a step up. And I applied to the Secret Service and was subsequently hired after a lengthy application and evaluation process.
Yeah, I'm gonna translate that part. 我获得了刑事司法理的学士学位，并且开始全职担任警官。大约1年后，我决定在全职工作的同时攻读刑事司法理学硕士学位，然后我开始对寻找联邦执法职位感到兴趣，我认为这是一个进阶。我向特勤局提出的申请，经过了漫长的申请跟评估过程后被录取。The next question. Was becoming a U.S. Secret Service part of your childhood dream? My son said he wanted to become a sheriff. Later he worked in IT. How about your childhood dream job? 我gonna translate in Chinese. 成为美国特勤局是你儿时梦想的一部分吗？我儿子说他想成为一名厨师，后来才在 IT 界工作。你的童年梦想的工作是怎么样？ Go ahead.
So my childhood dream job growing up was to become a police officer, which I was inspired probably in grade school by watching the television series Adam 12, which aired in between 1968 and 1975. At that time, I only wanted to be a police officer in the city of Youngstown, where I grew up in it. And I did obtain my goal. So I was quite content with my police career, and it was a difficult decision to leave it for the Secret Service.
Let me translate. 我的儿时梦想工作是一名警察，这受到观看电视连续剧 Adam 12从1968年到1975年的启发。那个时候我只是想，我长大的城市当一名警察。我达到了我的目标之后，我对我自己的警察生涯很满意。转换特勤局是一个很艰难的决定。The next question. Can you describe what U.S. Secret Service primary duty? 你能描述一下美国特勤局的主要职责吗？ Go ahead.
The Secret Service is the only federal law enforcement agency that has a dual mission: criminal investigations and protection of the president, vice president of the United States, and other people and places as authorized by federal law. The Secret Service was created in 1865 by President Abraham Lincoln to investigate counterfeit money, and did not start presidential protection duties until authorized by the U.S. Congress in 1901. So those are duties that we still do today.
特勤局是唯一具有双重任务，刑事调查跟保护美国总统、副总统以及联邦法律授权的其他人，还有地方联邦执法机构。他们由亚伯拉罕·林肯总统于1865年创建，用于调查假币，直到1901年国会授权之后才开始执行总统保护职责。Next question. Can you share within 22 years of protection U.S. president mission, which experience that make you put you in a great dangers? 你是否能分享一下22年内保护美国总统使团，哪些经历让你面临最大的危险？ Go ahead.
So all law enforcement investigative and protective duties are inherently dangerous because of domestic and foreign terrorism, mental illness, and abundance of legal and illegal high-powered weapons and ammunition. My most dangerous assignment, I would say, was in 2002 when I worked in Afghanistan as a member of the Secret Service Advanced Team for the Visit Protection of U.S. Secretary of Treasury Paul O'Neill. Likewise, between 1994 and 1998, I was assigned to protect former President Jimmy Carter and traveled with him to dangerous environments in countries including Bosnia, Haiti, Palestine, and Sudan. And when I worked in Sudan on 2 different trips, Osama bin Laden was living in that country at the time.
由于国内外恐怖主义、精神疾病以及大量合法与非法的高能武器跟弹药，所有执法调查和保护职责本质上是危险的。我最危险的任务是在2002年，当时我在阿富汗担任特勤局先遣队成员，负责访问保护美国财政部长保罗·奥尼尔。同样在1994年到1998年间，我被指派保护前总统吉米·卡特，并与他一起前往波斯尼亚、海地、巴勒斯坦及苏丹等国家的危险。当我在苏丹进行2次不同的旅行时，奥萨马·本·拉丁住在该国。Okay, I think next we're gonna talk about September 11. This is a very tremendous topic for everybody right now, especially we are close to the annual right now. So we're gonna start with the several questions with September 11. Question number 1 is, how old were you in September 11? 9月11号你几岁？
I was 43 years old.
Okay. He's about 43 years old, 43岁。Next question. Can you share us how do you encounter the World Trade Center plane crash news? 请分享一下你是如何遇到世贸中心空难新闻的消息。Go ahead.
When the first plane hit the tower and the news coverage began, I thought it was a tragic accident. But when the second plane hit, there was no doubt it was intentional. At the time that happened, I was on the telephone with the Cleveland Air Traffic Control Tower to set up security for President George W. Bush, who was scheduled to visit Cleveland that very next week. It was at that time that United Flight 93 was in Cleveland airspace, and I heard the controllers talking to one of the hijackers who thought that he was talking to the passengers on the plane's public address system. A short time later, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, ordered all planes to land at the nearest airport. So pursuant to this, I responded to the Cleveland Hopkins Airport along with an Arabic-speaking Secret Service agent in my office to assist in interviewing passengers from the grounded planes.
Okay, I'm gonna translate. This is quite long information. 当第一架飞机撞上塔时，刚开始的新闻报道时，人们认为那是一场悲惨的事故。当第二架飞机撞上时，毫无疑问这是故意的。我正在跟与克利夫兰空中交管通电话，预定下周的访问克利夫兰的乔治 W. Bush 总统设置安保。就在这个时候，联合航空93号航班在克利夫兰领空，我听到管制人员和一名劫机者在交谈。他认为他正在与飞机公共广播系统上的乘客交谈。不久之后，美国联邦航空管理局下令所有的飞机降落在最近的机场。据此，我在克利夫兰洛机师场附近与我的办公室一名讲阿拉伯的特勤局的特务一起回应，协助采访停飞飞机上的乘客。Next question. When you learn from the plane crash World Trade Center, you decide to come to aid to your fellow agent. Have you talked to your wife first? How did she respond? 当你得知到飞机坠毁在世贸中心时，你决定帮助你的其他特务。你有事先告诉你的妻子吗？她如何回应？
So about 2 weeks after 9/11, I received orders from Secret Service headquarters in Washington, D.C. that I was selected to be a team leader for the World Trade Center recovery effort. I was honored to have been chosen for this noble assignment, and my wife was supportive with no reservations.
Translate. 9月11号大约2周，我收到来自华盛顿特勤局的总务的命令，我被选为世界贸易中心恢复工作的团队负责人。我很荣幸被选为这项崇高的任务。我的妻子毫无保留地支持我。Next question. How did you feel when you just arrived at New York City World Trade Center? Did you feel angry, sad, sure? What emotion went through your mind? 刚到纽约世贸中心的时候，你感觉如何？你们感到愤怒、悲伤？分享你脑海中的情绪。Go ahead.
I flew from Cleveland to Newark, New Jersey, and was housed at a hotel at the airport grounds there in New Jersey. As we were coming in for a landing, I could see Manhattan in the distance and all of the billowing smoke and fire. From the air, you could see the scope of the area destroyed. It was very emotional to see that in person. The next day, as I entered the site and began walking the landscape, my first emotion was disbelief. It looked like a movie set. My disbelief quickly changed to anger because of the people that were killed and the livelihoods and property that were lost. None of the victims were responsible for the terrorist grievances. My feelings then transitioned to sorrow for the victims and the families. Today, as I watch news coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, I have the exact same reactions and emotions as 9/11.
I'm gonna translate. This is quite lengthy as well. 我从克利夫兰飞往新泽西，到沃尔克，并安置在机场的场地的一家旅馆里。当我们降落时，我看到远处的曼哈顿滚滚浓烟跟火焰，从空中你看到了被毁的区域的范围，亲眼看到非常的感慨。第二天，当我进入的现场，在看卡的时候，我的情绪非常的难以置信，就看起来像电影的布景。人们生命的损失、财产的损失，我的 难以置信马上变成愤怒，没有一个受害者对恐怖分子的不满负责，然后我的情绪转变成对受害者跟其他家人的悲伤。今天当我看到了俄罗斯入侵乌克兰的新闻报道时，我的反应和情绪与911当年是相同的。Next question. How did your fellow agent feel they went through? 你的同事们对他们经历的事情有什么感觉 ？Go ahead.
During our time at Ground Zero, we never discussed our personal feelings. I think because we were focused on the task and worked long hours, so we also focused on our rest time. I also never discussed personal feeling with any of my team members after we returned to our respective posts of duty, probably because we were spread out across the country and rarely, if ever, worked together again.
I see. 在911地面时间，我们从未讨论过个人的感受。我想这是因为我们专注在我们的任务上，并且长时间的工作，所以我们专于我们的休息时间。在我们回到各自职责跟岗位时，我们就很少再有讨论因为我们散在各个部分，在全国各地，所以很少有机会再合作。The next question, what did you do when you stay in the ground zero? 当你在纽约零地面，你做的是什么？ Go ahead.
Our team was assigned to the area where World Trade Center building number 7 collapsed because our Secret Service New York field office was located there. We worked in concert with the civilian construction crews who used heavy equipment to dismantle and remove the debris for us to sift through. We would look for and collect the personal effects, human remains, and any evidence or other valuables for cataloging and storage. Efforts were made to return personal effects to the victims' families, such as photographs or anything on their mementos from their desk or something.
我们的团队被分配到世贸中心7号大楼倒塌的区域，因为我们的特勤局纽约办事处就在那里。我们使用重型的设备拆除跟清除碎片，还有民用建筑员合作，以便我们进行筛选。我们努力的寻找个人的物品、人类的遗骸或者任何证据，或者是贵重物品，进行编目跟储存。我们努力的将个人的物品归还给受害者的家庭，就像照片。The next question, how long did you stay at the Ground Zero? 你在纽约零地面待了多久？
For approximately 21 days, we worked every day, 12 hours a day.
Okay. 大约21天，我们每天工作12个小时。Next question, did you know anyone personally died in the September 11? 你有熟悉的人在911那天去世吗？
No.
答案没有。Next question, how many funerals have you attended for September 11 death? What did you feel that time? 你参加过几次911去世有关的葬礼？那段时间有什么感受？
I didn't attend any funerals for 9/11 victims.
我没有参加911受害者的任何丧礼。The next question. Several people impact from the working at the Ground Zero, like PTSD. Did you experience this? How did you discover and adjust with it? How about now, after 21 years today? 有几个纽约零地面的工作受影响到，许多人患了创伤后压力症。你有经历过吗？你是如何发现跟适应它？21年后的今天又怎么样？ Go ahead.
I have not experienced any signs or symptoms of PTSD related to my work at Ground Zero as I reflect on it. However, I have experienced increased general anxiety as a result of my cancer diagnosis and the trauma of losing a testicle, which I equate to a woman losing a breast.
我没有经历在纽约地心有关的任何创伤后压力症迹象或症状。然而，我的癌症诊断和失去睾丸的创伤，我经历了更多的普遍的焦虑。 就相等于是失去乳房的女性。The next question. There is a fact she shows 68 related cancer. Do you have any of this cancer? How did you handle it? How's your health now? 资料单显示68种相关癌症，你有列出的癌症吗？你是如何处理？你现在健康又怎么样？ Go ahead.
So as a first responder working at 9/11, at a 9/11 site, I was enrolled in the World Trade Center health program, receiving a yearly comprehensive physical exams and mental health assessments from the US government approved health providers. In 2006, I was diagnosed with the testicular cancer, requiring the removal of my testicle. I reported this to the World Trade Center health program, but my cancer was not on the approved list at the time. It wasn't until 2017 that I was contacted by the World Trade Center health program, and they requested all of my cancer medical records for review. And then in 2018, I was certified for treatment by the World Trade Center health program after my cancer diagnosis was determined by their medical professionals to be a proximate cause of exposure to toxins at the site.
作为91年现场工作的急救人员，我参加了世界贸易中心健康计划。每年我接受美国政府批准的医疗服务提供者给全面检查跟心理健康评估。2006年，我被诊断出患有睾丸症、晶圆细胞瘤，需要进行根治性的腹股沟睾丸切除术，切除我的左睾丸。这一项世界世贸中心的健康计划报告，但当时我的癌症不在批准的分单中。2007年，世贸中心健康计划联系了我，要求我审核我所有的癌症病例。2018年，我的癌症诊断被他们的医疗专业人员确定是为现场接触毒素所直接的原因后，我获得的世界贸易中心健康计划的治疗认证。The next question. Did you join any 911 group support and do you still continue connecting with the people you met in the ground zero? 你是否参加任何911支持小组？你还继续跟你的911地面的认识的人联系吗？
I'm not aware of any 9/11 support groups for first responders, so I did not join any. And the only person that contacted me that was at Ground Zero the same time was another person from Ohio who worked there, but I didn't know him or work with him.
我不知道任何911支持的小组。去年有一位在911地面工作的人联系了我，但我并不认识他。The next question. Some of the PD and FT has continued playing the father role for those children who lost the parents that day. Have you become involved with the children 9/11 there? 一些警察局或消防局继续为这些失去父亲的孩子们扮演父亲的角色。你是否在那里为911的孩子们有联系？有 answer?
So no, mainly because I came from Cleveland I was only visiting there, so I didn't stay in that area.
Right. The answer is no, because he's not a local area. He's from Ohio, Cleveland. The next question. Do you feel regret helping the Ground Zero that time, even you had the PTSD, even get a cancer? 即使你患有创伤后压力症跟癌症，你是否会感到后悔？当初在911地面的帮助？
I do not regret working at Ground Zero or the consequences. As a first responder, that's what you sign up for, that's what you're trained for, and that's what you do.
我不后悔在911地面的工作或后果，因为作为一个急救人员，这就是你参加的目的，也是你受训的目的，这是你应该做的事。The next question. What's your plan for September 11 annual this year? 今年的周年纪念9月11号，你有什么计划呢
Now that my story has been out, I'm usually invited to participate in some local memorial ceremony. So that's what I'll do this year.
我通常被邀请当地的纪念仪式。自从我的故事被分享。The next question. You are in a criminal justice professor. What do you want to tell your student and for the September 11 experience? What lesson do you want them to learn from? 你是刑事司法教授，关于9月11号的经历，你想告诉你学生什么？你希望他们吸取到什么样的经验？ Go ahead.
I utilize all of my law enforcement practitioner real world experiences as examples for different learning objectives for my students. For specific topics, I refer to the 9/11 Commission report. I also try to connect with my students as a mentor, motivator, and someone genuinely interested in their success.
我利用所有我执法从业的现实世界经验，作为不同的学习目标的例子。对于具体的主题，我参考了9月11号委员会的报告，我还尝试的与导师、激励者的与我的学生建立联系，真的对他们成功有感到兴趣。Next question. 2011 held the terrorist Osama bin Laden, American enemy. These deaths bring you any comfort? 2001年恐怖分子头目本拉登美国的敌人，他的死带给你什么？有带给你安慰吗？ Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned, he was living in Sudan when I traveled there, and we were warned he and his followers would kill Americans. It was also a great story about how our military and CIA worked together to find him in Pakistan.
是的，一点都没有错。正如我提到的，当我去那里的时候，他住在苏丹，我们被警告他的追手会杀死美国人。这也是关于我们军队跟中央情举报局如何合作找到他的好故事。We're gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna come back with the second time, and we're gonna discuss about maybe about dementia and relate to your September 11 relate to it. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming in. Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.